is everybody today?
Oh, we're going to do some ASMR.
We're so happy to have you here with us.
Okay, now you kind of sound like the SNL skit.
Here in Vegas, it's just a cloudy, rainy afternoon, perfect for staying inside with friends, sharing hot cocoa and great conversation.
That's totally like that SNL skit.
Well, not with you giggling in the background. Jeez, you ruined it. This could have been my new career. Anyway, what's happening, guys? It is Sunday. It is overcast here in Vegas. It's been raining all day. Although right now it's not raining, so that's nice. But it's supposed to rain again tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Fun times. But it's been quite the week.
Good times.
Good times.
Back
Listen,
to SNL.
don't make me start talking about my sweaty balls. All right, so before we get into anything, just at the top of the show, really quick, I want to talk about something just to make sure that we hit as many people as possible. It's the beginning of the year, so of course everyone's thinking about taxes or worrying about taxes, stressing out about taxes. Mm-hmm. Maybe this is your first year as a reseller, I don't know, or you've been doing it for a long time and you're still stressed about it. We like to wait until September to even think about the previous year's taxes.
It's true. We're terrible.
So guess what? We're not stressed at all. But we wanted to tell you about Mark II. He reached out to me recently, and at Not Your Dad's what am I saying?
Not Your Dad's CPA? I don't know why you're saying it wrong.
All of a sudden I'm like,
what's his name again?
Not Your Dad's CPA. Mark II, he is having an event. It's a 2-day free virtual event, reseller tax challenge. And he wanted me to tell you guys about it, wanted us to tell you about it. Let me share my screen real quick. The link is down below.
We'll put it in the chat too in a second.
So the link, well, I don't have it to put into the chat right now, man. Anyway, the link is down below. Really easy for you guys to grab. We don't want anyone doing it in the chat anyway. They can wait till after the show, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Anyway, it's a free 2-day virtual event, and so it's tomorrow and the next day. You got to go follow the link and reserve your seat, but it looks like obviously it's a pretty good deal because it's free. It looks like day one, know your numbers. He's going to have a special guest. There's going to be Q&A and prizes. And then day 2 is going to be talking about deductions. So I think this could be a really good free opportunity for you guys if you're nervous about your taxes. I know tax stuff isn't fun. But you know what? I know from ignoring my taxes for a long period of time back in the day, as some of you guys know, once you do finally face it head on, it's very, very liberating.
And it's not nearly as scary as it can be. Like a lot of us, a lot of people think taxes are stressful and frightening, and they are in some cases. But it's all usually about what you don't know and don't understand. And we only know what we know, right? So
unless you're like some Richie Rich who is like, I don't know, making millions of dollars and has nothing to deduct. And, like you hear about like Wesley Snipes and like, what's her name?
Tax evasion?
Yeah, just tax evasion. It's usually like they got a huge amount of money and they didn't pay their taxes. Let me tell you, if you're a reseller and you're behind on your taxes, you're probably going to be okay. You just got to face it and take care of it.
Yeah, you just got to make it happen. And it can be stressful. And I've been behind before on taxes. There was a time I was behind for about 2.5, 3 years. And Katy was behind like 5 or 6 years when I met her. We're all up to date now, and we have been for several years. True. But it is also because of Mark II. We both use Mark II, and we pay the same as anyone else, by the way, to do our taxes. And he's just made it that much easier for us. Yeah. So it's really liberating to understand your numbers and to understand what you can do. He is a reseller that does taxes primarily for other resellers. He does have a lot of insight and knowledge into this world of taxes that a lot of like your local CPA may not know or understand, or that your local H&R Block is sure not to understand. So it's really nice to have someone that has been very entrenched in the community for a long time that really gets it. So
yeah, and his fees are very reasonable. Okay, let's get off the tax thing. I just wanted to tell you guys at the top of the show, because I know not everybody watches the entire show. They can't handle us for a full 60 minutes. But I wanted to make sure everybody had a chance to hear about the opportunity, just in case, especially because it's tomorrow. So when you hear about it the day before, I guess it'll be fresh in your memory. But I wanted to make sure anybody who does want to take advantage of that has the opportunity to do so. Anyway, thank you guys for coming and hanging out with us for our Sunday show. What's your week been like, just in general? What's been going on? Chaotic? What's chaotic about it?
So I have had to hire my third lister in the last 8 or 9 months. So the last 8 or 9 months, I have not had a lot of consistent good help.
Yeah.
I've tried with 2 other people, and not everybody's going to be a great fit, right? That's life.
My helpers are the worst.
You don't have any helper. So and as we all know, Dana and Crystal are pretty irreplaceable. But it's been very difficult for me to find and maintain and keep a good lister. So I do have an acquaintance of mine that I will be training with Crystal's help this time. So I'm hoping it'll be a little bit easier.
You're finally going to take advantage of that.
Yes.
She's only been telling you for, I don't know, a couple of years that she would train your next person. She would help you.
So we're going to train an acquaintance of mine tomorrow that had reached out a couple of months ago and seems to be interested in looking in a side gig. So that's been frustrating, but I did receive my 7 boxes of about 500 items from the vintage seller that I purchased everything from. So I've been trying to process that as well. This seems to happen to me like right before I need, like my previous lister quit on me right as we were in the middle of Colorado and I was coming back with 500 items.
That's how it always works. You always have like a big buy coming.
So this, I've got about 500 to 600 items that are, are ready to be processed. So, unpacked everything. Everything's fantastic. This was a great buyout. I'm super excited about the finds. I paid on average just over $2 for each item delivered. So I'm really excited about that. However, it's been closed up and put in storage for the last several months in an area where I think it's damp. So everything smells slightly musty, like it came from somebody's basement or garage.
So what'd you get this week?
I bought a ozone cleaner.
Ozone machine.
Yep. So I bought an ozone machine, and I have my ozone machine that I'm able to do about 50 to 60 items at once. We put them on the hanging rack, throw them in the room. So I did my first batch of that yesterday. There's a reason why you shouldn't run those. I mean, that thing smells awful. It'll kill you. You got to keep it in a closed room. It's really weird.
Yeah.
But I bought one, and I got I got my first batch of like 60 items done yesterday, and damned if it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Like no odor whatsoever. So at some point, maybe we'll update our Amazon page, but I'm going to say if you've been thinking about getting an ozone machine, I paid $60 delivered for it. It came the same day on Amazon. It's fantastic. It was, I don't know why I didn't do it sooner.
mean, Laura's only been telling us
like
to get
years,
one for
years.
forever.
Years. Because most of what I purchased is not anything that is able to be washed because a lot of it is vintage. And I do not launder stuff that is not washable. A lot of it's dresses and blouses and things that are, rayon and materials that you just don't want to wash because they're going to look like garbage. So
I mean, right now, yeah, you have like a ton that you need to get through. And of course, Vicky being the one who kind of overreacts to everything. In her mind, she was like, we're going to do batch after batch after batch. But the reality is you get this rack and you have to have it in an enclosed space. You can't just do it in your house where you are and the people are and the dogs. And so she can fill up a rack with like 50 things, but then we put it into a bathroom and then we have to put a towel at the bottom of the door. We have to make sure it's not leaking out into the rest of the house. And it runs for 30 minutes, but then you got to wait like an hour before you even open the door. But then we opened the door and it was like, whew, because
way too strong.
We were doing the bathroom that doesn't have a window, so now we're going to do the laundry room. But still, it's like so one batch, even though you're only running the machine for 30 minutes, it's hours, and then you can still smell it in the house. And I was like, I didn't feel comfortable being like, all right, let's do the next batch. So she was kind of like, it's not going to work. And
it's going to take me a month.
And I'm like, okay, well, that's not the end of the world. You're not like photographing and listing 50 items a day. Like, it's better than doing it one item at a time, which you really can't do. You're not going to hand wash 400 things. So it's going to work out. She's a little impatient, you guys.
I'm very dramatic if you haven't
noticed.
And
a little dramatic. So, but once like the batch stuff is done, I mean, occasionally you get like a jacket that smells bad or whatever. It's going to be great to just have a solution right away that's going to take care of it. You don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. So we can't do it in the garage, Michelle, because I would have to leave the, first of all of our inventory is in the garage, but I would have to leave the garage door open for, say, an hour afterhand to air it out.
Yeah.
And I don't ever open our garage door in order to keep it airtight. So, because my inventory is all hanging in there.
Yeah.
So I keep it airtight so as not to open it and then have it exposed to the elements and dust and the neighbors and God knows what else for an hour. But I keep it closed because we don't have moisture or dust if it's closed. So,
but our laundry room,
she's like, I can leave it. She lives in the sticks.
Our laundry room actually has a window so we can open it. That should work. And if we need to, I'll put a fan in there just for when we're, if there's a fan.
And desert dust, exactly. Sandra, it's really good to see you in the chat, my friend. We miss you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the ozone didn't kill us. Thank you for checking in. That was Liz's text this morning. Hey, are you guys alive? Just checking to make sure you didn't get offed by the ozone.
I don't love the smell though, I will say, but it does work. Anyway, all right. So this is our Sunday show. We do it in 3 parts. The first part, we look at our real numbers for the last week across all of our platforms, our gross revenue, and then break down some of the stuff like the fees and the shipping and the cost of goods, which is probably the most important. And then the middle part of the show, we look at our sales highlights for the last week, our best sales, our most interesting sales, maybe most educational sales. And then the last part, we kind of review what our goals were for this last week, how it went, what our goals are for the next week. And we always invite you guys to participate in the chat and in the comments afterwards with kind of how things are going for you, what goals you have set for yourselves. So we hope that you'll participate in that at the end of the show. But for now, why don't we go ahead?
I'm with Christine there.
What?
Christine says, I'm just like you. Why is patience a virtue? Why isn't hurry the F up a virtue?
Well,
I'm with you.
Here's how Vicky's brain operates though. It's like, okay, so we had no solution, right? She could wash each of these 400 items by hand. Okay, obviously wasn't going to happen.
No, I was just going to say that they smelled
So
musty.
there's no solution. And then in her mind, there's the solution where she's able to bang these all out in a day because it's just going to work so great and we're going to be so efficient with it. And then when the one batch takes longer than expected, her solution to that is to just give up completely.
Generally,
because in her mind, it's either all of it at once or none of it. And I'm like, how about you have a really great tool that like totally takes the smell out of 50 things at a time?
Shut up.
Pretty sure.
Just shut up.
Pretty sure that's a worthwhile solution. Mm-hmm. Now we got Allison, big thrift in here too, who we get to see relatively soon.
Yeah, we can use it in our house. Joyce, our house is very big, just so you know. It's 3,500 square feet, and we're using it in a third bathroom or the laundry room that nobody goes in. The door can be closed, and we can block under the door. We're nowhere near. It's the second floor of the away from the dogs and everything.
The bathroom was by my office, so I think she is trying to kill me. Now Joyce, that's also why I was like, you really can't do more than one in a day, because I'm like, even though, because when you open the door, it's like it comes out. I'm like, we need to like limit how much of it gets into the house, but we're not going to keel over from it. We'll be fine.
But if you do have a smaller house or a smaller area, you're absolutely right. You should be using it in a storage unit or in a garage or somewhere where you can walk away and nobody is in there.
Yeah, it would be great if we had something.
We just don't have the space to do that. Even though the house is so big, we have rooms that we don't use, so that's what's going to be used.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and talk about our numbers. I haven't even talked. I don't know if Vicki even looked at it because I set this up. She could have looked at it, but she didn't. I don't think she did.
I didn't.
If you remember last week, and we'll get into goals and all that stuff at the end of the show, but if you remember last week, I was saying I was going to run a 50% off sale in my store, which sounds drastic, but normally I run 30% off. I price my stuff to automatically have everything be 30% off, and then I usually aggressively send out offers on top of that. So my thought process this last week, it was, okay, let's try doing a 50% off sale for 1 week and see what happens.
Did you take offers off?
I didn't bother to. No, I didn't turn offers off, but there were like, for one thing, I was very limited in sending offers because there were a lot of items that were already the lowest. So I haven't sent out as many offers as I normally do. And a lot of offers I didn't even entertain because I was like, some stuff was, again, the lowest I was willing to take for it. So I did that, and we're going to see how that turned out. And for those of you who are regular watchers, you're going to see, did it or did it not have a dramatic effect on my sales? Are you guys ready? Are you guys ready to see this?
Uh-huh.
Are you ready? I don't know. I don't know if they're ready. Check it out. Check it out. Okay, guys.
The number of orders it absolutely affected.
Look at... Oh, I probably should share this. Let me allow the rest of the people to see it. Okay, so if you remember from last week, I think my orders were like 18. Like my eBay has been real sad. My total orders last week was like 41, and that was a jump up. If you remember, I was lucky if I was hitting 30 for the whole week for across all my platforms. And I was saying, now that I'm doing 10 items a day every single day on eBay, I'm doing 70 new listings every week. I was saying my first goal was to hit 50 orders across all my platforms. Even though I'm doing this on eBay, it's across all my platforms. And last week I did hit
60.
No, I didn't. I said, sorry, the week before. I think I hit 41 because my goal was to hit 50 and I hit 41. And that was a jump in and of itself. But this week, over 40 orders just on eBay. So 43 orders on eBay. Etsy was kind of okay with 4.
Our numbers are real close this week.
7 Poshmark, and then 6 between Grilled Mercari and Depop. Nothing private. I hit 60 outgoing orders. So I listed 70 new items, and I sold 60 items. I would freaking love it if that was the case all the time. It would be so fantastic. eBay, $1,897.82. I have not had a week like that on eBay, and I do not even remember.
Probably 2 years.
I'm a little sad I didn't hit 2,000, but I was excited when I hit 1,000 because that's how bad my eBay sales have been. It's like just hitting 1,000, breaking that 1,000 point was like success for me. So almost 2,000, crazy. $364.91 Etsy, $250 Poshmark, $170 between Grilled Mercari and Depop. The sad little triplets.
They are sad little triplets.
Okay, so total gross sales $2,682.73.
That's really good for you.
I know. Once upon a time, occasionally I hit 3,000. So there's some hope yet. Even though, I mean, maybe this is a one-off week. I don't know. $194.34 for shipping. You can see the breakdown of fees there. Cost of goods around $200. My total net sales almost hit $2,000 on my total net sales, you guys. $1,952.32. But here's the kicker. Because I went 50%. I took offers and sent offers much lower than I ever have before on stuff, even on top of that 50% off sale. And yet my gross average sale price is $44.71. Last week it was $49 something. So I only lost $5 in my gross average sale price, but look at how much higher my net sales are. And then my net average sale price, $32.54. Again, it's only $5 lower than what it was last week.
You're making me want to go do this in my store, but I'd have to turn off offers because if I do 50% off, I am not accepting offers.
But you have to remember, offers still bring in activity. So you gotta let go of being annoyed by offers.
I'm not going to accept any.
So what? It's still activity.
Okay.
It's still activity.
All right.
Respond with $2 off, whatever. It's still activity. Anyway, so I don't want to do 50% off again in the future, but it does show to me, at least in my opinion, and maybe this is anecdotal, but looking at the response, I really think that I'm going in the right direction when I'm rethinking how I'm pricing stuff to begin with. I have a lot of stuff that I've had for a long time that's mediocre, that are mids at best, that are priced too high, and yet I'm able to sell them once the price is more reasonable. And so I really need, now that I have much more steady inventory coming in, I need to be pricing lower. Next week, tomorrow I'm going to go back to 30% off sale. But I'm changing how I'm pricing things, and I need to really get the ball rolling on reworking old listings, making them new listings, repricing them, changing the titles around, changing the pictures around, because this tells me that it really is about my price. I just need that activity happening. But guys, I'm super excited, I'm super happy, and I just hope that the momentum will keep up.
All right. Well, I think you've encouraged a few people to do a massive sale like this. I'm going to try it.
Real quick, I will say somebody commented on our show last week after the fact. They said something about, like, are we worried about basically devaluing vintage? And listen, I can price my crap whatever I want. If it's not selling, it's not selling. Like, so me lowering the price just means I'm meeting people where they're actually willing to spend. And I do think people are willing to pay up for vintage. I'm still selling basic good mid t-shirts for $30 to $40. And so of course I've got stuff that sells for more than that. That's a lot. Like when you see like what some people are selling vintage for, I'm not like racing to the bottom by any means.
Right. And I answered that comment on our channel. Yeah. And the reality is that I am more concerned with paying my bills and making money than I am valuing vintage. Let's be real. We're in this business as a business. I'm here to make money when all is said and done. Yeah. Do I sell and preserve and curate good vintage items because my love of vintage? Absolutely. Am I selling anything for $5? Absolutely not.
No.
However,
you have to find that balance.
You have to find that balance somewhere. And sometimes we need to sell things and meet the market where it is. And you don't really know what that is in vintage because there are so many variables and so many different buyers on different platforms. I'm still selling stuff on Etsy at my high prices that I couldn't give away at 50% off of that Etsy price on eBay in some cases. So it really is, it just depends on, it depends on what you have and what you have, you're making your money in your buy. Yeah. We say that all the time. So you just have to do what you've got to do to move the merchandise.
And I still know when I have, like, Vikki knows when she has something that's worth $300, and she also knows when she has something that's cool, but it's only worth like 30 or 35. So I'm still going to find those t-shirts where I know, or a sweatshirt where I absolutely know this is valuable. I can wait for this one to sell for a little while. But all the other stuff that I have coming in that I just think is cool, but I know there's a lot of it out there. If I'm only buying it for $1, why pay why put it up for 60 and wait for 6 months for it to sell when I can put it up for 30 and have it sold within a couple of weeks?
Right.
So
it's learning to find that balance, and it's not an equation that we can tell everybody do this X, Y, and Z.
You got to play around.
You've got to play around with it yourself, and depending on what your knowledge is in the vintage market and what you're selling, you just have to do what you got to do. And it's different for everyone. Like for me, I've had a crappy last 2 or 3 weeks on eBay, in my opinion, because I had such a strong November and December. January is usually very strong as a seller, and this January has not been that strong for me, no matter what I'm doing. So
all I know is, we've both, even though we have separate businesses, we're both stubborn, and we've both been holding on to our old ways of doing things that were very successful for us in the past, but we've been holding on to them for much longer than we should have. And for me, the biggest wake-up call was last year was the worst year that I've had after years of growth in my business. And it's like, okay, so time to do something different. And so that's what I'm doing. So to me, it was a great week, and I'm going to, still be playing around with it. I don't know if I can sustain this or what next week is going to look like, but I'm happy. I'm really happy about this.
I also have 600 items to put into my inventory. That means I want to sell 600 items.
Exactly. And I've been adding a lot of inventory. I'm getting real close to hitting 3,000. But I think that's going to be about my max. Like I don't want to, I mean, maybe I could get up to 4,000 in my space. I do not want to outgrow my space at all. I need to be selling it as fast as I'm listing
I have 4,700 items, and I really can't go much more than that.
Yeah. Well, you have a lot more space than me to fit it in. So,
and I'm still almost out of space.
Yep. All right. Let's look at yours.
Okay. So our numbers were not very different.
We both had the same number of outgoing orders.
Total outgoing orders are the same. I did 33 on eBay, 13 on Etsy, 9 on Poshmark. I had 4 on Mercari and 1 private order. Those were lumped together for some reason for a total of 60. So just under 1,500 on eBay. That's a shitty week for me. 908 on Etsy, which is a great week on Etsy. 298 on Posh. Posh is still slugging along craptastically. And I did have my private sale was $125, and I think that's lumped into my Mercari sale of $224 total. So 4 tiny orders on Mercari. So my total for the week was $29.22 and change. You see my shipping was $259. The breakdown of everything there. My cost of goods is always low. I do buy low, so my cost of goods $143. My total net sales $2171.86.
Nice.
My so that's a decent net. $2,500 is my target usually. $2,500 to $3,000. That's my sweet spot for net sales weekly. That's where I want to be. That doesn't mean I get there.
Good. I think more is good.
Shut up. So my gross average sale price, just under $50. I do like it to be between 50 and 60. And again, because I am being much more aggressive in my offers and in my pricing, just like Katy, it is going to be a little bit lower, and that's fine.
I mean, so I'm looking at, like, with how I'm selling, the kinds of things I'm picking up at the bins. I still find great things at the bins that sell for a lot of money, as you'll see in our sales highlights for this week. But I'm going to be picking up stuff that's lower too. There's some stuff that I've picked up and I'm listing it so it's like $20 and I'll go as low as 15. Do I want to be sourcing that stuff? No, but a lot of times it's just because I grab it at the store or grab it at the bins and I think maybe it'll go for more. And then once I'm actually listing, I'm like, So I don't want to make a practice of it, but what I'm thinking is I would like to not go below $40 gross average sale price.
Right.
I
think that's
want to
pretty
go below
good.
that, but I think 40 and above, I'm very happy at that spot.
So, Jody Pickin' Peaches is in the chat. We haven't had Jody in the chat in a while. We miss you. And I
So,
mean,
yeah.
the other guys, you people must miss her probably more than us because we were lucky enough to spend time with her last week. So we at least got a little Jody vibe. But yes, Poochie's Pickers, we did both have 60 total sales.
Yeah, crazy.
Weird, right?
But I do, I'm feeling really good about where I'm at. I'm feeling excited about it. I also want to point out that, a lot of this, I think it's a combination of things, but a lot of it has to do with the consistency in listing for eBay, the 10 items a day, which hopefully I'm going to go up to 12. Why are you hitting my leg?
Because that's what we're going to talk about at the end of the show. We'll talk about our sales highlights first.
Okay, I just want to say, with my 90-day numbers, that has been very gradually but steadily creeping up, and that makes me super happy because it's not been great for a long time. Okay, so let's go right into our sales highlights, starting with you. What you got here? This is really cute.
Oh, I just wanted to say, I will say that even though my sales have been down these last 3 or 4 weeks, I also haven't had a helper in the last 3 or 4 weeks. So even though she was just gone this week, she hadn't listed anything for the previous 3 weeks before that. So all of this has been on me. So anyway, this is just a cute little 60s dress. I can't remember where I picked it up, but I've had it for a little while. It was either a bins buy or I'm sure I spent $3 to $4 on it.
Super cute.
It's very cute. Just a 60s mod, very cute dress. Sold for the price you see there, $62.01. I'm running a 27% off sale. Apparently, I need to go 50% off. Sometimes I go 20, sometimes I go 22, sometimes I go 25, sometimes I go 27, sometimes I go 30. I never go more than 30.
Well,
and
just
30
make sure
is
you go look
limited.
at your lowest price stuff.
My lowest price stuff is all clearance shit. I'm happy to get it out the door.
Okay, I just don't want you to have any surprises and be like, because there are a couple things that came up where I'm like, oh man, I hope nobody buys that. It's way too low, but it is what it is. All right, first one for me. Look at this awesome shirt. I got this. This is one of my things I got from Jen Goodell, where I had bought like over 100 pieces from her, all for like $5 a piece. And
is this in October, or is this when she sent them to you?
This is when she sent them to me, and so I got a bunch of Western shirts, and I love this one because it's so quirky and weird.
That is really weird.
It didn't have any tags, so I don't know if somebody handmade it, although it's really well made.
I think it's too well done to be handmade.
Yeah, but it didn't have any tags or anything like that. But you know what? Who cares? Because it's awesome. So you can see I had it on my 50% off sale. Now, one of the things you guys know, I do price higher when I have no idea what the value of something is. But I paid $5 for this, so it was marked down to $69.99. And actually, why is this showing a 30% off sale? Oh, I guess when I sold it.
That might have been before your 50% off sale.
Yeah, it might have been.
Anyway,
Sandra,
I agree with you. All the beautiful vintage stuff that I find is not my size either.
Yeah.
So I'm with you.
But I ended up selling it. I sent an offer for $40 and sold this for $40. So
Cute.
$5 into 40, and I didn't have it that long, so it did not take up space for a bazillion years.
These were a bins find. I've had them for quite a while, probably 6 months or so, but because they were a bins find, and you can tell that Crystal took the photos of these because they're really good pictures. Anyway, so I've had these for probably 6 months or more, but I probably paid $5 for them at the bins. Mm-hmm. And they sold for the price you see there, $91 and change. Anything Nike ACG is worth picking up. It's not something you find very often, but
yep.
Whenever you find it, pick it up, and the vintage sells even better. These are not vintage, though.
All climate gear. That's what ACG stands for. All right, next one for me. Hey, Liz, look, it's Frozen Dead Guy. Frozen Dead Guy days. I showed this to you guys not very long ago, and I sold it for the price you see there. So here you see the 50% off sale. So normally this would be priced at $69.99, but let me tell you, as you know, when I have a price at $69.99, when I send out offers to buyers, I send out offers at $50. Well, this was already marked down to $50, and somebody bought it. So it actually ended up selling for exactly the price.
Frozen Dead Guy. That's a great shirt.
It is a great shirt, but it sold for the price I would have been already okay with. And I paid like maybe $5 for it in Colorado. So again, another piece that didn't have to sit around too long, and it sold. So I'm excited that somebody gets to wear this now.
All right. So this did not sell for the price you see there. I actually sent out an offer for $125, and that's what this sold for. It sold for $125. I believe that I picked this up at a thrift store, probably the ARC store, last year in Denver. This is not a bins buy.
You didn't steal this from Joan Crawford?
No, I did not steal it from Joan Crawford. It's a beautiful, but it's faux fur. And it's just this really gorgeous vintage coat. It had this really fun belt buckle and buckle on it. The belt was all stretched out, but it's a beautiful coat. Unfortunately, I think I'm the only person that really loves these coats as much as I do, because they do tend to sit for a while, but I cannot resist them. So anyway, it sold for $125. I was pretty happy to sell it. And
luxurious.
It's really pretty. Most of these are way too small for me. Again, and it's never, except for right now, it's not cold enough to wear this stuff in Vegas.
Yeah. All right, next up for me is this Izod Lacoste cardigan sweater.
It's a good
I
color.
got this at the bins, and so I paid. It's not super heavy, so I paid what, $2-3 for it. So I priced it. Normally, it would have been $100, but with the 50% off sale, it was $69.99. Somebody offered me $50, and
again,
and I was like, they offered me $50, and then their note they said, "This is the most I've ever paid for Izod sweater, blah blah." And you know what? I know some of you guys out there, you get that gets your hackles up, and you're like, how dare you send such a message while lowballing me when it's already 50% off? And you know what I said to myself?
You said, take it.
I said,
$2.
hell yeah, I paid $2-3 for this. I'm taking my $50. I got on a mission this week to sell some shit.
All right.
I got $50.
All right, so some of you may recognize this, and Jody, my beautiful model right here in this photo with her head chopped off. I had Jody, grabbed this in September last year in Colorado, and it is a very, very difficult to photograph dress. I paid $22.99. I bought it at the Arc Thrift Store in Colorado. Now, it's very difficult to photograph because look at it. It's freaking weird, right?
You know
I can't possibly put that on a mannequin and make it look right. The first photo is the mannequin.
Is the key.
It was totally the key, but I didn't have anybody. I don't have a live model for the most part. So this is it on the mannequin, the first photo. So I was able to get, and Katy holding up the sleeve.
Highly skilled holding up sleeves.
I know, right? But it's difficult to see how this is going to fit on a human being.
You know what, though? It looks pretty accurate. Like, it's not...
Right.
It looks better on a person. Jody especially.
And it's a small dress. It was very small. So we couldn't zip it all the way up the back, but it didn't matter. It didn't matter because of the way it's on. You couldn't tell that it wasn't zippered all the way. It fit perfectly. And I listed it, and I had like a bunch of offers and interest right away. And then I had an offer overnight from the same, that for $225, and I couldn't say yes fast enough. Like, even though there's a lot of offer interest in it, what am I going to hold on to it for? I paid $22 for it, and like, I don't know that the offers would have been around. It was just this weird, fantastic Madame Butterfly type of dress. I don't know, but I had to accept the offer. So,
what is Jody's modeling fee?
Jody gets my ever
undying
love and appreciation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
Say butterfly vibes. Yeah, I was thinking Madame Butterfly of the opera, but that's more Asian inspired. So I just couldn't, I don't know what it was, but I couldn't leave it behind. And it was clearly a costume. There was someone's name on it written in a tag. And I do think that it was probably made for the theater, but it's just a gorgeous, gorgeous dress. I couldn't leave it behind.
Yeah, it's great. All right, next up. Here's another t-shirt that I got from Jen Goodell from that same batch of stuff. So again, $5 a piece. I actually got 2 different Tool t-shirts from her. And so as you can see this one's showing like the 30% off sale. But then on top of that, because when I do the 30% off sale, the price is $97.99, and then I will send out, my lowest I will take is $65. That's so I usually send that out, and I sold it for $65. So I paid $5 for it, sold it for $65. And again, this is an item that's only been in my store for a little over a month.
Jen's a good picker. Jen buys a lot of stuff that Katy would buy.
Absolutely. So hopefully
she just can't get it listed.
Hopefully she's still getting more, because I think after I bought all that stuff during remix time and then this batch, I don't know what her vintage t-shirt stock is looking like, because Jen, I need some more. All right. Next up for you.
This is one that I found at the bins that I think Katy would have been jealous of, because I think when I showed it in our haul a few months ago, she would have. This is something Katy obviously would have picked up.
Of course.
This is very much a Katy sweatshirt, but it sold on Etsy for the price you see there. It was a lightweight one, so I paid under $2 for it by weight at the bins, and it sold for $64 and was not listed all that long.
I like when the whole wolf moon craze was going on, and somebody like created one that's like 3 wolves and 3 moons, and it's like really ridiculous. So
Danica.
All right, so next up, I have this jersey. So this is something I picked up at the bins, and it had really cool embroidery, really nicely made. It's University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff Golden Lion, so not exactly a school that like a lot of people are following, or it's as popular as some of the other schools.
It's very
and so for
specific.
Something very specific. So for something like this, where it's like there's not a lot of comps to go off of, if any at all, I just threw a really high price up there, which was my $200 price point, which normally would be $140. But with the 50% off sale, it was $99.99. And you know what? Even with that, I was like, F it. And I sent out an offer for $65, and someone bit, and I sold it for $65. Again, I got it at the bins. I paid like $2 or $3 for it. I don't need to hang on to it. I have no special connection with jerseys. So $2-3 into $65. Great ROI for me. And
all day long.
No reason to hang on to
We got
it.
Sunny in the chat.
If it was something, I've had it for a few months. If it was something super crazy, it would have sold by now. So just time to move it on out. Sunny,
how you doing? Sunny's been doing this fitness challenge with himself, and I do see your posts when they come up on Facebook, and proud of you, dude, because one of us has got to do it, and it's not me right now. So,
hey, I've been drinking smoothies like crazy. Vicky doesn't like my smoothies though, so whatever, man. All right, what you got here? What's going on?
All right, so these photos are kind of terrible. This was my previous lister, and I'm sorry about it, but it is what it is. But it is what the title says. I picked this up at the bins. It's a tulle crinoline that ties on the sides. It's vintage. Yeah, I mean, pretty much what it is. It sold for $104 on Etsy. I probably paid $2 to $3. Not even. I paid under $2 because it weighed under a pound total. But it was just, yeah, it's a really cool. It ties on both sides. It was handmade. I'm sure someone wore it with a wedding dress or some type of prom dress. And I just love all that vintage stuff.
Yeah, very nice. All right, next up, check out what I sold. Can you believe it? I didn't sell for that price, but I sold pretty close to that. I got this at the bins too, and I remember like saying to Vicky, like, you think I should get this? Because this pattern is pretty magical and majestic, and who wouldn't want to have an amazing blazer, sports coat, leisure suit coat like this? It's just fantastic. I love it.
That is very Stanley Roper.
It is. It's pretty magical. And honestly, I didn't really have this for that long. It was listed for maybe a few months. It wasn't a crazy long time. And you can see I priced it pretty high to start with. They have 50% off sale. And then again, I sent out an offer. Actually, I'm trying to think if I sent the offer out, they sent the offer out. Bottom line, I sold it for $85. I got this at the bins. I paid maybe $4 for it.
Yeah, it's
at
a good
the
one.
bins.
I love that god awful, loud, ugly patterns on anything.
Yep.
So Liz is saying every time Sonny comes up in our Facebook feed doing his push-ups and everything, we should drop and give 2 because Lord knows we can't do 20. I don't even think I can do 2.
Can you do 2 girl ones?
I can do girly push-ups. I can do the girly push-ups. I could probably do 20 girly push-ups. It's been a minute, but
all right.
Yeah, a real push-up, maybe 1. Half of one, I don't know. It would die. I would die. It would kill me.
And real quick, I don't even think this didn't even have a tag because I don't have any pictures. So it had no tag, and I still turned $3-4 into 85.
This is my life. It has no tag.
Yep. You don't need no stinking tags.
Doesn't need a brand.
Next up for you.
This was a bins buy as well. And it wasn't perfect, but I've had this for quite a while. I will say I've probably had it in my store for about a year, but I think I paid $4 or $5 for it. It wasn't very heavy. It's much more lightweight than it looks. Allie almost stole it from me when she was here staying with us. Allie Roots, when she was staying with us over the summer, she loved it. But it sold for the price you see there, $104 plus shipping. Not very difficult to ship. And clearly I took the photos because they suck. So
I wasn't going to say anything, so.
Yes, you were. You were thinking it.
I was thinking it, yeah.
You were thinking it. But yeah, it sold for $104 plus shipping. I did charge $25 shipping, and I think it cost me like $15 to ship it.
Not too shabby. All right, I did have some good sales this week to keep my average up. It didn't sell for that amount. But it sold for $125. Someone bought it for $125. And this is just like a lightweight kind of windbreaker. It's not lined or anything like that.
That lamp was totally doing the Macarena, Sandra.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
70s racing jacket. I always pick these up if I can get it for a decent price. This I got from Jesse at Yesterday's Fits. I may have only paid $10 for it. At most, I paid like $20 for it. So to flip it, I think I had it. This one I had a little bit longer, maybe 4 or 5 months. And but I was able to sell it. These are ones that I will hold out on. I wouldn't have gone below $100 for this because I know that they sell eventually for a good price, and I just think they're cool to have in my shop. So I sold it for $125, $10-20 in, and sold it for $125. So seriously, anytime you see these old school racing jackets from the 70s, 80s, seriously pick them up because people love to buy them. So, all right, next for you.
This was also a bins buy. I did not have this very long, but I pulled it out of the bins. And a lot of times I'll pull something without seeing a tag, especially because I know it's vintage or the way it feels. This was a silk blouse. It weighed nothing because it was silk. But it's vintage. Roberto Cavalli, Just Cavalli is Roberto Cavalli. It's one of the lines. It's not the higher end line or the highest end line, but this was a really nicely made silk shirt or silk blouse. As you can tell, obviously I didn't steam it or do anything to it because, you know, it's the type of silk that if you get it wet, you're going to ruin it. So what you see is the lace up front, and then it's heavily, heavily beaded on the front. And it sold for the price you see there, $112. I paid maybe $1 for it. It was like 5 ounces.
Very nice. All right, next up for me, I was really excited about this one. This Timberland leather bomber jacket. I got this at the bins, you guys. It weighed just over 4 pounds. So it roughly cost me about $8. And get off your phone.
Sorry, it was my lister sending me a message about tomorrow.
Anyway, it maybe cost me it cost me about $8. It's $1.89 a pound. And I think I think the lowest offer I've sent out on this is $100. But again, I had it priced at $299.99. Normally my 30% off sale would be around $200. I had it down to $150, and somebody just bought it. Didn't send an offer or anything. They just bought it for $150. So I was super happy. It actually went to Canada. So not only that, they bought it and they paid shipping. So I was pretty happy about it.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yep.
All right. So this actually, Danica shipped for me. So I picked this up on our last trip in Colorado.
Sure she shipped it?
Yes. Picked this up on our last trip in Colorado. It was the very last day as we were leaving. I paid $8 for this at a thrift store, and I was going to box it up with my things and send it home. And Danica's like, well, I'm driving home. Let me take it. I'll just ship it for you. So Danica not only shipped it for me, but she sent me the photos. When she got home.
I was going to say, these are really
I know, you can tell I did not take the photos again. So I paid about $8 for it. Danica shipped it for me. She held on to it, and it sold within about a month of me listing it. I actually listed it after Christmas, which is a terrible idea, but I did. So here's the thing. The woman that purchased it from me has to be 100 years old. So she messaged me through Etsy. She could not figure out how to buy on Etsy and set up payment. She wanted to send me a money order or a check. Now, those of you that have been selling a long time know that used to be par for the course selling online. I have no problem taking a money order if someone asks me to take one. I still do it occasionally, maybe once a year or so on eBay. Someone will say something about it. They don't like to connect credit cards or debit cards, or they've had a bad experience, and I don't blame them. It's usually older people. You go ahead and get me a U.S. postal money order, and I will ship anything for you. I don't care. That's cash.
There's literally zero risk. You don't ship anything until you get it. You take it to the post office. You cash it.
They are taking all of the risk, because you could take it, you could cash it. They have zero recourse. You could send them nothing. There is no protection for them as a buyer. So if that person is willing to take that risk, and I have never screwed anybody over. I am not a dishonest person. I would never do that. But here's the thing. So this woman sent this. I sold it for $125. And again, you're not paying fees when you're doing this, right? So I just took it down off the platforms. I wouldn't do that on eBay, because eBay's a little bit strict about you taking sales off platforms. The other platforms say, fuck it. So she sent me a money order. The poor thing sent the money order on January 6th that took 2 weeks to get to me in a priority envelope. It got lost. I felt so bad because she was so upset that the tracking had dropped off the planet. But Anyway, so she just took but it finally got to me, and Danica shipped it out for me. So I'm sure she's going to be very happy when she receives it.
I agreed. My story is once I agreed to take a money order, a guy wanted to buy a leather Polo Ralph Lauren jacket that I found at the bins, and I think I sold it to him for like $400. He wanted to send a money order. I'm like, okay, it comes in the mail. It was cash.
I've gotten cash too.
I'm like, okay. Like he just decided he didn't feel
cash was a big thing years ago.
Yeah.
So eBay sales used to get cash all the time. I had somebody send me cash in an overnight FedEx envelope from like Russia for $1,600 in cash for something on eBay. Now this was 15 years ago. I wouldn't do that now. Well, not that I wouldn't do it. I'd still take it. Please send me $1,500 cash. But you got to be very careful about taking a sale off a platform when it comes to something like eBay specifically. The other platforms, I don't really care about.
Yeah. All right. Next up for me, yes, leave.
All of my conversations with this woman, by the way, were through Etsy. Etsy does not monitor your conversations. They don't give a shit. Etsy is a platform that you pay to use, and they treat it as such. It is your own business. You run it the way you see fit. They are not micromanaging you in any way, shape, or form.
Technically, just to be clear, technically on Etsy, you should keep it on platform. And there is a way that you can say it's been paid for because they still get their fees. I'm just saying, I'm telling them the correct way.
Okay.
No, I'm giving advice so that people can know that they're taking the risk themselves. But there is a way on Etsy where you can say it was paid for outside of Etsy. They still take their fees and it still goes through the platform. Just saying. Otherwise,
I would not
do
say
what you want.
I would not say no, Jody, but be very careful when it's eBay. That's all I'm going to say. Sometimes people have a problem paying on eBay, and if their payment won't go through, or they're having a problem paying on eBay, or eBay is fucked up for that day and they're not working for some reason, because it happens. If that's happening, then I'm sorry. All bets are off. If your platform is not working properly, that's not my problem. I'm not losing a sale over it.
Yeah. Okay. So, and like I'm saying, if you want to do the totally safe route, you can still get paid off platform through Etsy, the proper route. All right. Drunk Alley Cats. I got this sweatshirt off of Whatnot. And I bought a bunch of stuff off of Whatnot in the last month or so. And a lot of it's sold. I did really well this time around. And I think I paid maybe $10 for it, and I got $62.99. It's super cute. It's these drunky.
It is really cute.
Drunker cats, having a good time. I like the one that's on the sleeve. He's passed out in the garbage can. But it sold relatively quickly and for $62.99, so I was very happy about it. And see, I would still price it at that because this is something I think that's unique and interesting.
Yeah, it's cute.
And obviously it sells, so.
Okay, so this is just an example. This was not a huge dollar amount. It sold for $60, but this was a bins find last year. I probably paid $4 or $5 based on the weight. This is a very not exciting bomber jacket. And I'm going to say the only reason I picked it up was because of the bins. And I also picked it up because it had the Peterbilt logo on it.
Yep.
As far as the brand of trucks or the brand of motors, there's nothing on the back. It's completely blank. But it's frayed, and I probably would have picked it up if it were blank entirely as well, and just because. But the fact that it probably sold because it had the Peterbilt logo.
And you sold it on Poshmark, so you don't have to deal with paying for a label.
Right. So it did sell for $60. I probably paid $5. Nothing exciting, but just remember, trucking, anything that says Mack or Peterbilt or anything like that on it, that's usually worth picking up.
Yep. All right. You ready for my big sale? Mm-hmm. Check it out.
Ooh.
Leather members only cafe racer jacket. I sold it for the price you see there, $179.99.
You fancy.
And this actually went to Canada, I believe. Or no, wait, it's going to Canada, I believe. I think it's going international. I haven't shipped it yet.
So did it sell yesterday or Friday?
It sold on Friday, I think. Anyway, I picked this. I'm 85-90% positive I got this at yesterday's Fits.
I think you did too, because I remember you showing
when
it.
I was getting all the stuff for $10. So I paid $10 for it, sold it for $180 plus shipping, and it's a little heavier, so I think I got $33 shipping, which should be plenty, and I am pretty sure it's going to Canada. I can't remember off the top of my head, but look at how rad it is. I love it. It is beautiful.
What color is that? Is that brown or
brown.
black?
Brown.
Okay. You don't have the color in the title.
I don't put the color of the title.
Really?
No.
Okay.
They can see it from whatever. You can see it with your eyeballs by looking at the pictures.
Okay.
Anyway, it's pretty magical. I sold for $180. So I only sold like 4 things on Etsy, but at least one of them was like a really good sale. So, all right, next for you.
This was another Posh sale, and like I said, I only had like 4 or 5, I had a handful of Posh sales, but only 2 of them were halfway decent, and this is the other one. This sold yesterday. This was also Bin's find. Probably paid $2 to $3 because it was about £1.50 or so. I always buy sleepwear, right? You guys, that. I pick up nightgowns and robes and pajamas because people like what they like. Now that I did not expect that this was a high-end brand, but when I got it home and I checked out Cabana Club in general has a higher price point, which I would not have expected. So the fact that I had this priced at $90 and it sold for $90 is kind of crazy for me, because did I not look up that brand, I probably would have priced it around 40 or 50, because I still would have gotten it, but I would have priced it lower.
See, and you're always a little miss. I don't look up any comps, but
I do sometimes when it's a brand name I didn't recognize, because I couldn't tell quite how old it was by that tag, and I wasn't entirely certain of it, so I needed to do a little bit more research to at least figure out the decade. I thought it was vintage, but I didn't know how vintage, and it's not super vintage. It's probably like 90s Y2K. So anyway, all that to say, don't sleep on the sleepwear.
Hey-o. All right, my last one is not a huge sale, but I was going to show off my Jesus tees. This one I only sold for $40, but it's another one I got from Jen Goodell. I got a really good deal. I got some really good stuff. I mean, you know what? One of the things I like about buying from her is that she, really does a great mixture of, there's some really cool stuff that she knows I'm going to be excited about, and there's lots of stuff that I'm just kind of like, meh, but it still sells, and I still make money on it. But this batch had some really good stuff, and she had like 4 or 5 Jesus tees in there, and this was one of them. And I didn't price it crazy high. I think I had it priced at like 50, but it was get out of there. Anyway, let me see the tag. Yeah, so this is like a 90s into the Y2K. I don't know why I didn't say 90s on that. Maybe it had a date on it. It might have actually had a date. That's why. Anyway, normally with that tag, I would have said 90s and Y2K, but this is dated with the 2000s. So $40, you guys. I love my Jesus tees.
Other people do too, clearly.
Yep.
Just not when I sell them. I can't give those shits away.
You just got to give them.
I just got to give them to you.
You just got to give it to me, potty mouth. Jesus doesn't let you make good sales because you drop too many F-bombs.
That's probably true.
Yep. He doesn't appreciate it.
And I'm pretty sure Jesus doesn't care about vocabulary.
Remember when you tried to eat an Oreo earlier this week and almost choked to death?
That's true.
Yeah, that's because baby Jesus is mad at you.
That's true. I was cheating on my diet. I had an Oreo. Yeah. I was going to have 2 Oreos.
She's like she's like the worst sick person because she's real whiny.
Super whiny.
And if there's anything worse than a sick Vicky, it's a dieting Vicky.
Oh, because then I'm a hangry bitch.
Then she's like super whiny.
I'm hangry.
With zero willpower.
Baby Jesus did not like me eating the Oreo.
No.
Because I choked on it. You know when you get something that goes down the wrong pipe or whatever? I thought I was going to die.
I was like locked away in my office.
I had tears running down my face.
I was locked away in the office. I just hear, ha!
I'm choking to death.
Ha! Ha! And I'm like, I let it go a few times, and I'm like, it sounds like she might be dying.
She might be choking. I should probably check.
So I went out and I said, are you okay? And she said, ha! No! Ha! And I was like, where are you? And I went right to her. Anyway.
Almost had to do the Heimlich. Almost had the Heimlich happen.
Almost had the Heimlich on her. And then I just, I made some jokes and she laughed, so I knew she wasn't dying. So I knew she'd be okay. But
no, she was laughing at me. She would have given me the Heimlich and then continued to laugh.
Well, because she had like, she only had 2 of the Oreo cookies, but she literally had like 8 Oreo cookies on her desk. And I was like, baby Jesus is not happy with you right now, and now he's shown you.
It's true.
No, we have been. I think for me, when I decide I'm going to do, it's kind of like with how I'm doing things differently with my business. When I decide I'm going to do something, and I have finally gotten to the right mindset of it, I'm in. I'm all the way in, and it's like I'm able to kind of change how I'm looking at things. And so it's the same when it comes to dieting. But one of the challenges that Vicky and I have is that
we diet differently.
And, well, a lot of it has to do with, I think you diet, you're very irritated and mad when you diet.
I am a mad dieter.
Whereas I'm like, okay, I've picked my way, I'm going to do it. But first of all, we have to do it the same way because there's certain, like, she needs me to do it with her. And And
All right.
No.
Can we stop picking on Vikki Day?
I'm not trying to pick on you. Maybe there'll be some words of encouragement. So we're trying some different stuff. But what we've been doing, we're on our own for our lunches. I've been doing smoothies. I'm all in the smoothie game. Vikki is not down with the smoothies. They don't work for her.
I need to chew my food.
Yeah, I love me a smoothie, and it's like I'm up to like 16, 17 ingredients in my smoothie. It's got everything in there,
It's
man.
excessive. It's excessive.
I love it. I'm getting spinach. I'm getting kale. I'm getting kefir milk, but I've got fruit. I got vegetables. I got avocado in there. I got beets. I got chia seeds.
Well, see,
I got ginger.
Liz has a point. Jesus said, "You're going to hell anyways." She's not wrong.
Well, Jesus never said that.
That's
Jesus
true.
never said that.
That's just people that say that.
Anyway, so I'm all. Vikki, did it go quiet?
Sorry.
Yeah, Jesus wants you to shut up.
I touched the microphone when I moved it.
To let us know if the sound is going okay, because I'm pretty sure she had turned it off there for a second. Anyway, yeah, I love the smoothies. It's working for me. And then at night we're doing, because here's the thing, guys. I like to cook, but sometimes, especially when you're trying to do healthy, it takes a lot of energy and a lot of thought to try to figure out like dinner every single night. And so we've been trying the pre-made meals. And so we were doing Factor for a couple of weeks. They were okay. They're just a little bit on the small side. Like they don't satiate enough. They're not enough. And I think especially for you, it just keeps you in that hangry mode.
Mm-hmm. So Michelle, that's pretty much what Katy does. She does one liquid meal, one solid meal, and intermittent fasting.
Yep.
Because neither one of us eat before noon. And we don't really eat after 6 or 7 o'clock at night. So we're technically have always done intermittent fasting in some way, shape, or form. We're not breakfast people, so it was not a difficult challenge.
I'm a breakfast person, but it does work for me to do this. So yeah, we wait until noon. I do my smoothie for lunch, and then we do a dinner. And so now we have a new thing coming tomorrow. It's a local place that's called Foodie Fit, and the meals look much better and a lot more variety. So we're going to try that and see if that works a little bit better. And I think you just need to figure out a better plan for lunches. Although you're trying to do lunches with them too.
Yeah, I ordered a bunch to have for lunches too, because that's half of my problem. If the meal is there, I'll eat it. If it's there and it's interesting, I'm going to eat it. But when I'm trying to let me make some dry tuna on a salad, fuck that. That lasts like a day, and then I hate everybody and everything.
You've done like 5 F-bombs.
All right.
Quit.
I've done keto. I've done the best thing for me, honestly, and it's let's face it, guys, we're all older right now too. So I every other year or so I try to be a little bit better, because I fluctuate around the same weight. I'm a chubby girl. I tend to be around the same weight and have been this weight since I was in probably my mid 30s or so. And 6 years ago when I met Katy, it was probably around the time that I had dropped 50 pounds, but I worked really hard for 5 or 6 months to drop 50 pounds. And that was 30 pounds less than I am now. Over the years I've put it on, and I fluctuate that same 20 to 30 pounds up and down. But that when I had lost that 50 pounds, I was strict paleo diet. I was at the gym 4 or 5 days a week, and I was 6 years younger. So
I haven't
it's a
gotten
lot
the gym
harder
thing.
these days.
It's hard to take the time to do the gym stuff, but for me, it's like I haven't had any beer or alcohol in like 2 weeks, and I'm drinking a ton of water. And I love it when you get to that point where you're like really making yourself drink water. And let me tell you, my giant fake Stanley cup from eBay helps a lot.
That's true.
I'm at that stage where when you're drinking lots of water, it tastes even more delicious. It's like you retrain your taste buds. So I'm like loving it.
That's a hilarious story. Allison, she says, my x-ray tech coworker always said to tell people she was killed by a bear. Now you've covered it. Even though she choked on a gummy bear, and then she choked on a gummy bear, and the first she thinks she said was it actually happened. I think that's hilarious. So yeah, it's as you're getting older and being a woman in general, when you're at a menopausal age, such as myself, all of those things make the weight stick on a lot more. There's a reason why people say it's hard to lose weight after a certain age, especially for women. It just is. It's not just about limiting calories. It's not just about diet and exercise. We know that it's mostly 80% in the kitchen. That's where your weight is done and your health is. But you have to figure out what works for you, because every single body type is different and every single person responds differently to different diets. Calorie deficit is not the only thing that works. Keto is not great for everyone, and it's awful long term.
I mean, I think calorie deficit is pretty much the only thing that works. It's just how you go about it.
Yeah.
And for some people, different things work better than for other people. And you have to do it in a sustainable way. And so, like, for Vicky, doing one meal a day is not going to cut it. And so, you know,
yeah, Liz says at this point you'd think we'd sweat the fat out while we sleep.
right?
That's the real tea with menopausal women. Like seriously, you'd think, you know, the way we sweat at night. But
so we're hoping this next week. So that's part. I say this because this is part of our goals. It's not just about our reselling. I really do want to lose weight. I got some T-shirts that don't fit in anymore, guys, that I really love. And so, but we're tweaking that to make it more sustainable. And we're hoping that this new local food place where everything's fresh every day, is going to work. And you actually ordered lunches as well as, cause I'm still going to keep doing my smoothies. Cause I freaking love my smoothies, man. They're so good.
Well, you're getting all kinds of good vitamins. And
I know. Like I'd never be able to make a meal that has like a whole cup of raw spinach and kale and beets. And
well, you could, but it would suck.
Well, it would be like a whole big thing. But I'm like, just throw it all in the blender, blend it all up, drink it down. Tastes delicious. I'm putting like cayenne in there. I'm putting all kinds of crazy stuff.
Weird.
I love it. It's delicious.
All right. So that's part of the goal. Is I'm not necessarily looking at the scale quite as much, but I know when my jeans are too tight and I know when I'm not feeling great. And I know when my cheeks are too chubby. I have chubby cheeks anyway. There's a reason why I'm almost 50 and I don't necessarily look like it. It's because, you know, fat staves off the wrinkles, let's face it.
It fills in the cracks.
But I definitely need to be healthier.
So what were your goals last week as far as your business goes? And
so my goal last week as far as my business goes was to get a bunch of things photographed. I knew I was receiving that shipment. I wanted to get all of that processed. So that's done except for the ozoning, the majority of stuff. But everything's opened and sorted. And I pulled out any items that were stained, tried to treat them if they were treatable. All that kind of stuff. So
you took pictures of clothing.
I took pictures of clothing. I took pictures of, I had a stack of like 10 things that I knew were going to be difficult to photograph. So I hadn't sent them to my previous two listers because they were both terrible. But I also suck at photos. So one of them being that dress that I sold that Jody modeled for me. So I knew that those were things that I needed to photograph myself because, you know, before I used to just send everything to Crystal because she's fantastic.
Because she was like a magic
my magical unicorn. But, you know, I couldn't count on that with other people that just were not consistent and just not picking things up. So I did that. And yeah, I mean, that's the majority of it. Like I got a lot of, I was, you know, still working on delisting, doing sell similar, changing out photos, titles, and tweaking, optimizing old listings. So I did about 20 a day. So that was I did at least 150 of those this week, starting with my oldest listings. And then I did a minimum of 10 brand new listings every day. And that was all on stuff that I had taken photos of and whatever. Usually I have a draft bank because I have someone that's doing drafts for me, but I haven't had any in 3 years. So
yeah.
3 years. 3 months.
It feels like 3 years.
3 weeks. Jesus. It does feel like 3 years. But yeah, so I'm off to train my newest lister tomorrow. I do think, well, I know, because I know I've known her for years, that she's very intelligent, and I'm hoping, and I'm hopeful and optimistic that she's capable of doing well.
Yeah.
And we'll see. I mean, she approached me. She is someone that doesn't sell online at all. She's actually a writer and was just looking for a consistent side gig to help supplement her income, and hopefully that works out.
So,
and Michelle asked, am I delisting and relisting on Etsy? I am not. I only do it on eBay, actually. And that's not true. I do it on eBay, and then my bot does it on Mercari and Poshmark.
Yeah.
So I don't touch Etsy. Etsy is one of those list it and forget it platforms,
So my goals last week, I wanted to do the 50% off sale. I did that. It was definitely a success. I really had a goal of getting at least 50 items sold in the week. I blew through that, hit 60. So I was very excited about that. So I think I'm going to go back down to 30% tomorrow when I change my sale over, but I definitely need to start reworking more stuff. Right now I have like 110 items in my draft bank because I had listed and measured like 150 items, and I have just been like getting them all listed. And so I think I have like about 30 left to list. So I'm basically just building up my draft bank. And then I think what I'm going to do, because I have like a few things right now for photography, but I really don't have a lot of stuff sourced. And because Vicky just got a lot of stuff, we didn't go to the bins this weekend. And so I think I'm going to try the approach this week is that I'm going to at least a couple of days in the middle of the week when there's no stinking kids there, no high school kids there. I'm actually going to go to the bins without Vicky because I can go and spend a few hours there a couple of days in a row and see how much stuff I can get and hopefully get some good stuff because I have all those listings banked, but I need to have a good chunk. I mean, 70 listings a week, and that's without adding anything more to the bank. Like you got to really be bringing that stuff in. So, but I need to every day this next week, I want to be reworking, repricing, new titles, completely new listings out of old listings, at least 10 a day. I haven't been doing them for a while, so clearly my pricing is a little too high on a lot of my older stuff, so I need to taking in what I learned this last week and do that. So this next week, that's one of my goals is at least 10 of those every single day, and I'm going to see how it goes to take a couple days out for mainly sourcing and see what happens. Maybe hit a couple thrift stores too.
So I won't be sourcing. I don't need to source and won't need to source for a few weeks. And because I spent that big chunk of money purchasing a large bulk of inventory, that also means that I'm not going to waste my time sourcing when I can put my time toward other things right now, at least for another month or so. So I'll be working on continuing to process all of the other 500 plus items through the ozone machine in the ozone room. Listing through the rest of my hard goods that I have here personally, training the new lister tomorrow, and from bringing everything we're doing at our house. So hopefully she'll take off running and I'll have a good batch of stuff done next week. Well, cross fingers for me. I need another crystal. She could be it. Who knows?
I'm going to see if I can maintain my how much I'm selling. I mean, obviously, I don't know that I'm going to be able to hit 60 again, but my goal for this next week is going to be 50. I'm going to try and hit 50. If I can consistently get at least close to 50, if not over 50, I'll be really happy, and they'll show me that what I've been doing is working. Because for a very long time, if you went back through all of our Sunday shows, for a very long time, I was lucky if I had 24 across all my platforms, and that's real low. It's nothing like what it used to be for me.
Yeah. So then I have, my other goal is to get back onto Depop. I have been off Depop for the last 2 years, so I'm going to start cross-posting to Depop again, now that they have 6 or 8 photos instead of the 4, now that they have the ability to promote listings. I'm going to go do it. I'm going to get onto that and see what happens with that and see if I actually can see some sales there.
So based on, we learned this from Crystal at our meeting. I think we mentioned this on Sunday, that Crystal was saying that she's been using the boosted listings on Depop. So I went ahead, because I was like, based on my pricing, an additional 8%, if it actually sells for the price I want, it's fine, whatever. I just need to be selling. So I went ahead and I boosted all of my listings on Depop. I have not seen like a huge surge in sales, but I did just sell something on there. I literally just did it a couple days ago, so we're going to see what happens with that. But again, it's just all about playing with stuff. Like my main focus overall, like all the love and attention mostly is being given to eBay, because that is where the most potential for substantial growth in revenue is. But Vicky and I are both continuing to tweak and do things, see what we can do differently on our other platforms to actually make a difference.
I'm also going to be getting in touch with our friend Melinda at the Blind Center, because I'm going to be approaching her about doing some volunteer work at the Blind Center. So I'll be getting in touch with her this week. And I'm also putting together a presentation for our friend Ryan and Chaz's group, because I'm going to be doing a presentation on vintage clothing to help the members of that group. I don't know when, but I'm going to put together a presentation happening over the next few weeks there. So yeah, that's
very cool.
Got a lot going on this week.
Yeah, so we're going to wrap up this show. It's a little bit after 3, but we really appreciate you guys coming and hanging out with us. Please, I saw some of you were talking about your goals in the chat. Please, after the show is over, go and comment down below.
And hit the thumbs up button, by the way. We have 120 some odd people watching and only 4 thumbs up on this show.
Let us know how your goals, how everything went for you last week, what you want to do differently this next week, what your goals are for next week, what you're trying to accomplish. Let us know in the comments.
Yeah, we want to everybody check in with each other. I mean, that's the cool thing. Like being able to come and back and check in on this week after week and touch base with each other is definitely a helpful thing.
And it makes a big difference, even just writing it out and having it, because it's like you can do it in this chat here, and then it kind of disappears unless somebody is like actually watching the playback and like reading the chat. It basically more or less disappears. But if you're like at least putting it in the comments and it's sitting there,
accountability is big.
Yeah,
it helps all of us, I think.
Absolutely.
So, thanks for coming and spending part of your Sunday with us. It was nice to see so many friends in the chat, and we miss you guys.
Yeah, we do. All right. Bye. Have a great week.
Have a great week.